Alright, hey guys, and welcome to episode 6 of Player 2 Reviews, where today I'm going to be covering a title that I used to rent a ton when I was younger, but not many people have heard of, and I actually never owned it until recently, and that is King Arthur's World on the Super Nintendo. Let's take a look.
King Arthur's World is a medieval real-time strategy game that plays a lot like a more popular game, Lemmings, which came out just a few years prior. It was actually created by Argonaut Games, a fairly unknown company that created a few choice games such as the Croc series and iNinja, and actually played a huge role in gaming history by creating the Super Effects chip for the Super Nintendo, as well as the prototype that would become the smash hit Star Fox. However, despite the amazing triumphs that they would achieve, Argonaut was doomed to obscurity and eventually closed up shop in 2004, leaving behind a legacy of hidden gems. As I said earlier, the gameplay is very similar to Lemmings, so if you're used to Lemmings, you'll be right at home here for the most part. You play as King Arthur as he travels around raising an army and destroying evil. Each level starts out with King Arthur and a tent full of his followers, and you are able to summon them out one type at a time. Your units include engineers, foot soldiers, archers, explosive barrelmen, wizards, and shielded knights, each coming with their own benefits and skills. Engineers serve a multitude of purposes, including some very important ones, such as the ability to break down doors with a battering ram, and the ability to create platforms to help the army reach higher up areas. Your archers are there to do exactly what you'd think, and you're able to select 3 different angles to fire at to hit all enemies, both high and low. The foot soldiers are the grunts of the army, and will march into oncoming enemies and slash them down as they meet, and the barrelmen provide quick explosions which can be difficult to get in range sometimes, but useful to take down a big door quickly. The Dark and Light Wizard provide devastating magical attacks as well as life-saving spells, but both can be killed quite easily, so the protection of your shielded knights becomes very helpful when using them. With your army next to you, your objective is to make it through each level, slaughtering whatever gets in your way until Arthur reaches the goal. You can control your army by using a sort of crosshair effect, much like Lemmings, but fortunately, this is one of the few games that actually supports the SNES mouse, and if you have access to one, I recommend using it because it really enhances the gameplay. Throughout the game, you'll encounter waves of knights, goblins, ogres, and all sorts of other creatures that keep the levels fairly varied. And usually just as you're about to get sick of one type of level, the game changes drastically and puts you in an entirely new land to try and prevent you from getting bored. The music for King Arthur's World isn't really that spectacular, and actually gets a little repetitive, but it never sounds horrible or off-putting, so it won't ruin your game experience or anything like that at least. It just isn't anything to write home about. Alongside the music, the sound effects are pretty bland and generic, and don't really do much to pop or stand out. The graphics and style of the game are fairly well designed and detailed, especially for this type of game where all of your units are very small. You never have a problem telling the difference between the units, and the backgrounds are all very picturesque and pleasing to the eye. Everything is very rich and vibrant, so although your ears may be hurting for something more interesting, your eyes will be pleasantly surprised. After just playing through the game again for the first time in about 15 years, I have to admit that it isn't exactly as great as I remember. The game certainly has its charm, but I would have a hard time recommending it to everyone. If you are a big fan of Lemmings, then I certainly suggest giving it a try. Otherwise, unless this video really piques your interest, or you really just want another game to use that SNES mouse with, you may be wise to let this one pass for now. Alright guys, just want to say thanks again to everyone for watching. Once again, feel free to comment and subscribe if you like the review, and if there are any games you may like to see covered in the future, feel free to mention them below as well. So anyway, be sure to check back soon for some more gaming coverage. This has been a Player 2 review, and we'll see you next time.